So that's point number one. This is not a convention of states. For a state like Louisiana, the imposition of fiscal restraints on the federal government quite possibly goes against the state's interest. Thought that what the Philadelphia Convention was a runaway convention. That's not necessarily language that I would use, but it's very clear that the Philadelphia Convention did its own thing.
Is that something that's uniform amongst all professors, amongst all people with regard to the problems that you present with Article 5? It's the gold standard, or are there varying opinions?
Well, one is inclined always to say that one's own opinion is the gold standard.
What do you feel the likelihood is that Congress will pass a balanced budget amendment?
I would prefer not to speculate on that.
I think my odds of winning the Powerball are better.
I would simply point out that since Richard Nixon's presidency, we've had a number of mechanisms that Congress has put into place in order to move us forward to a balanced budget.
Since when?
Since Richard Nixon's presidency.
Since Nixon. We've been working since Nixon. Well, at that pace, okay, we'll have spent ourselves into oblivion, okay, by the time we actually get some progress. Is it a 2/3 vote for Congress to pass a constitutional amendment that would have to go for ratification?
Yeah, we need a 2/3 majority in each House of Congress, and we need a 3/4 majority among the states.
Yeah, that I would almost call that almost impossible. It's just short of impossible, in my opinion. We don't even need to talk about term limits. If you pass a balanced budget amendment, guess what? We'll have over half of Congress quit, okay? Because I'm going to tell you, in Louisiana...
You can run.
No, thank you. In Louisiana, when we're dealing with, $1.5 to $2 billion deficits, tiny amounts, they lose that in the mattress cushion in Congress. We give more than that away to other countries. And we're trying to make those cuts, and they have tremendous impacts on each one of our constituents. We all take that very seriously. Congress doesn't even have to worry about it. People refer to the national debt as being such a tremendous problem at $19 trillion now. And that's almost laughable, because that's only one aspect of our debt. The total debt is $64 trillion, and then the unfunded liabilities is over $102 trillion. Right? That $102 trillion unfunded liabilities equates to approximately $853,000 per taxpayer. Right? And in 2020, it's estimated that that'll be an additional $20 trillion added to that total debt there, or unfunded liability. And that's an additional $394,000 per taxpayer by 2020. We're out of control. What upsets me is that knowing Congress will never, and look, I tell you, I put any amount of money on it, Congress will never act to put themselves in check. They'll never do it. And our founding fathers gave us as states. You know where those federal dollars that you talk about come from? They come from taxpayers' pockets all around the country, including Louisiana. And personally, the fact that it may not be beneficial for Louisiana because of how much federal dollars we get, you know what? If the feds wouldn't take all our money to begin with, maybe we wouldn't have to beg for some of it back.
Representative Ivan.
Well,
Can
Representative, first off, with respect to a balanced budget, there is always the possibility of demanding of our representatives that they act responsibly.
And how does that work? And I've done a little bit of research on several amendments, particularly the Second Amendment and the intent of our founding fathers. And I can tell you almost unanimously, contrary to your position or presentation, our founding fathers, the Constitution, obviously amendments 1 through 10 were to put the limitations on the federal government. The federal government is for the people. It's not for the sake of the federal government. every power not expressed in the Constitution is given up for the states to decide, right? And our federal government, the judicial branch, the legislative branch, and the executive branch have run amok with that. That's why a state can pass a prohibition on gay marriage, and I'm not here to argue for or against it, but it's a states' rights issue. And if one state wants it, God bless them. If another one doesn't, guess what? It's their prerogative. And we've had judicial legislation at the activism from the bench tell us, you know what? No, that's some right that is clearly not enumerated in the Constitution. So there's checks and balances, and the states calling for a convention, demanding a convention is one of those checks. And at the appropriate time, I move favorable.
Thank you, Representative Ivey.
I'm here, though, to present to you almost 5,000 petitions that's signed by Louisiana citizens in support of the Convention of States resolution.
Right now, as we stand here, this country is almost $20 trillion in debt. That, to me, is mortgaging our children and our children's children and our children's children's children.
It is time for the states to take a stand in order to save the future of our great nation. And I strongly believe that a convention of the states is the answer.